Here's 7 interview questions for hiring skilled construction workers, ones that stick around and get the job done. Okay, so jump right into it. This is gonna be 7 questions that you can ask in an interview. These questions are going to help you hire the right people, hire better people, hire longer lasting employees. Questions, super important. There's lots of answers out there, but picking the right question can make a huge difference. So the first 2 I'm gonna be talking about are types of questions. And then later in the video, I'm gonna be getting into specific questions to be asking. And then stick around to the last one, because the last question is one that will really help you get leveled up in your business and is kind of like for that next level business that's looking to expand and grow and scale. So you with me here? Give this video a thumbs up if you've got value from it. If you like something I said, give it a thumbs up. Super appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, of course. So first one is deal breakers. What do I mean by this? Deal breakers are things that you want to ask that right up front, usually before you get into an interview. Generally, this is going to be like your first, call just to schedule the interview, or even possibly a form that they fill out. Deal breaker is specifically that something that is just going to disqualify them from being employed with your company. So if you know that they need to be driving a vehicle, or they need to get to site, or you're tired of guys, not showing up who don't have vehicles, ask, do you have a reliable vehicle? Do you have a license? Are you scared of heights? Are you okay working by yourself? Whatever it is, just basic questions that you can ask where if they don't meet that mark, they're going to automatically be disqualified. Get those out early, because there's no use in meeting someone who for whatever reason, there's some sort of deal breaker that just makes them unemployable for your company. So that's the first one. Number 2, situational and follow-up questions. So again, these are the types of questions, situational questions. You don't want to be asking questions like, what would you do if this happened? Or what would you do if that happened? That's just too general. You want to ask situational. Tell me a situation where you had to, drive a forklift, or tell me a time that you put tile, like a great project that you did. So something specific to them where they have to tell you a story about something real that happened. Tell me a time when you got hired by another company and your best experience with another company. So something where they have to tell you, and then ask follow-up questions. So they just give you a general answer. If you're not quite sure if they're just like yanking your chain and telling you what they think that you want to hear, ask them a follow-up question. Okay, so that person that you talked about, what happened with them, or what happened with that situation? Or so ask follow-up questions. Dig a little deeper. Often the level of detail that the prospective employee can get into, the more you know that they are telling you something that's true, for one, but also how well they know something. So again, they might be telling you that they have all this experience. They've done, electrical for 10 years and they know everything. And then you ask them like, okay, so if you're going to go mount a panel on, a commercial project and you've got this type of service, like ask them specific questions to make them dive into it. And the level of detail they provide for you will tell them how much experience they have. So does that make sense? All right, now we're going to get into the actual questions that you want to put on your interview form. Why are you looking for a new job? This is a big one. You want to know, of course, why they're looking for a new job. And again, dive a little deeper. Often they'll tell you, I didn't like this about the company or that about the company, when in reality, they were lazy and didn't show up and got fired. But they're going to tell you, all these things, why they didn't like the company, why yours is different, and why they want to get on there. So ask, why are you looking for a new job? Maybe they're looking for advancement. Maybe they're looking for more money. You want to be very open and personable, because you want them to give you the right information, obviously, to make sure it's a good fit. And you want to let them know that you want to make sure that they're a good fit for you, but that you're a good fit for them as well. Next question, what would be your ideal job? So ask them, obviously they've seen your job ad and they've applied to the job, so they know generally what they're going to be doing, if whatever that is, if they're a worker, a foreman, project manager, whatever. But what's your ideal job? What do you like to do? What's if you could create your own role, what would be at the top of your list? And this will give you a good insight into what they're looking for. Are they going to be happy in the job? If they're describing some, fairy tale job that's not aligned with actually what they're going to be doing, that might be some red flags. Whereas maybe you'll get some insight of like, hey, that's interesting, that you feel that would be a good part of your job, because that is actually, a blind spot in our company where we could use someone who could fill that role. So another great question. What is some of the hardest work that you've done? So I love this question because you get a lot of a big variety of answers. And it tells you a little bit about the applicant, of what they consider to be hard work and what they've done in the past. So they may give you some hard mental work that they had to do with figuring out plans, or something went wrong or whatever, or just maybe like I had to, dig holes in the rain for 3 weeks and work 12-hour days with, whatever out in some weird place. So whatever it is, but this will give you a little bit of insight again of like, what kind of work have they done? How hard have they worked? And dig a little bit deeper into that. How did it make you feel? Were you tired after? How did the rest of your team, work with you, or were you by yourself? So that's a great question to ask to know like what they consider hard work. Sixth one on the list here. Tell me about a problem that came up in a previous job. So this is a great one. You can say like, tell me about a conflict, the last conflict that happened at your work, or tell me about a problem that came up on the job site. How did you handle it? Tell me the story. And then again, dig deeper. Like, okay, like, so what do you think caused that problem? So ask them to go upstream of like, here's the problem, here's the solution. Yeah, they conquered it, but what happens when that problem comes up again? So see if they can, do some critical thinking of like, how could you have prevented that problem possibly? How did that impact the rest of the people on your team? How did that make you feel? Is this a problem that came up often? So again, dive into it, jump into it, have that conversation with them. And then the seventh one, the one that I was talking about before, that's going to help you scale and grow your business. As you build your business, you're going to need leadership. Leadership is so strong in business. Your leadership, of course, as the head of the company, but you will be a leader of leaders. So you want to figure out the leadership qualities or the ability for new recruits, if they're maybe just on the general laborer side, of being what they consider leadership, how they like to be led, and if they're can be good at following instructions and being led by somebody else in the company. So the question is, when was a time where you felt you displayed excellent leadership? Or if it's a management role, so if that is a management role, when did you display exceptional leadership, or when do you think you were a good leader? If it's for someone who's not going to be in a leadership role, you can ask, when do you felt a manager or maybe your previous boss displayed excellent leadership? And this is super critical. This, again, you'll get a large variety of answers. And I think it's not a question asked very often, not thought about, but it'll really give you insight on how they like to be led, how they like people to, tell them how to do things, or maybe not tell them how to do things. It'll give you insight into a project manager or superintendent or general manager of like, what's their leadership style. There's a lot of different leadership styles. Some, may work better with your team than others, or maybe it's a good contrast to your type of leadership style. So a lot of things to keep in track there. If you want help, and have like a detailed system of templates and a specific process for going through the whole hiring, from the, figuring out your ideal employee all the way to signing the dotted line with your employees on their, employee contracts, reach out to me. I've got this all settled out. Links in the description below. Got a free course in there, tons of resources. Check out the links in the description. You will not be disappointed. And as always, got lots of great more content and videos coming right at you. See you on the next one.